Hello and welcome back to the NFL DFS slate breakdown for Monday Night Football Week 16. We got the Saints at the Packers. Should be an interesting single game contest, and we are going to go into that. But first, I'm your host, Tyler Weeman at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and Twitter. Now, come join us at LineStar. It is $39.99 per month and it gets you access to all we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all, one low price. Now, let's just jump into the slate and see what we can uncover here today. As always, we will go position by position on DraftKings, breaking it down. I like to go over DraftKings just because there's much more variety in the pricing, and so going over this, you can carry it onto your FanDuel lineups as well. The other thing is just a little bit bigger contest on DraftKings. So let's dive in position by position, starting with the quarterback. So we got Jordan Love and Spencer Rattler, facing off, so to speak. Now, Jordan Love is the obvious pick here. Likely the Packers control this game. Jordan Love is super efficient and can definitely have big games. My only issue here is it does profile as a game that Jordan Love likely has under 30 attempts. He's just really unlikely to be chucking the ball all around. Now, the Saints haven't been great at stopping quarterbacks, so there is a chance, I would say, that the Packers come out and just say, hey, let's get this passing game going, and let's put it on Jordan Love early, and Josh Jacobs can finish off if we want. But I do like the spot for Jordan Love. Absolutely willing to have some of them. There's really nobody in this game that has as high as a floor as Jordan Love. So I'm fine with playing him. My only issue is that I just don't know how much of a ceiling he has in this spot. So I like Jordan Love, but probably not going to go overboard with using him. Next, we got Spencer Rattler, 8,600. He's a little pricey in my eyes. The best we've seen was 14 versus a Tampa Bay team that isn't all that great versus the pass. Now, the Packers have given it up a little bit, but this Packers defense is also healthier than it's pretty much been all season long. If you want some Rattler, that's absolutely fine. He has shown a little bit of upside. He can run a little bit, has 27 and 34-yard rushing game. So there is a little bit of a floor with him with some added points, with the ability of his legs. But all in all, I don't love the spot for him. And if we go to our team defense tool, it shows Rattler being good on the season as far as the spot. But you go back to 10, 15, or 5 games. Man, can't talk in case the Mondays here. Then the spot is looking a little more difficult. All in all, I don't love Rattler, but somebody on the Saints got to score points, and he's probably going to have to chuck the ball a decent amount tonight, so there is a path to him being optimal. Now, getting over to the running back spot, Josh Jacobs, he is going to be super chalky tonight. His touchdown line is like minus 255 or something like that. He is very likely to get a touchdown. His receiving and yards prop is like 115 or something like that. The likelihood of him doing damage and being optimal is extremely high today. So by all means play him, but he is a little chalky. If Jordan Love and the Packers come out going, hey, we need to get our passing game going a little bit. We've been using Josh Jacobs a lot, but it's coming to playoff time. We want to get going. Make sure that game is going solid as well. Then there is some leverage in not having Jacobs and going on to some receivers. But I think the most likely outcome in this game is Josh Jacobs needed, and Josh Jacobs is optimal. Now, to the other running backs. So Alvin Kamara is out. Kendre Miller is stepping in as the RB1. The thought is he will have a lion's share of the work. Now, he is a little bit explosive. He has shown some flashes, but we really don't know what we have here. I am absolutely here to use some Kendre Miller, and I'm fine having some. I do think 9,400 is very, very pricey for him. Now, this RB1 job for the Saints has been one that there's a lot of dump-offs. Now, he is no Alvin Kamara, so I don't expect the same type of volume as Alvin Kamara dump-offs, but I do expect that to still be part of the Saints' game plan. So it is an interesting spot, especially on a full PPR site like DraftKings. Now, the one thing I will say here is we really do not know how the Saints will end up breaking up their RB platoon, I should say. We don't know if Jamal Murray is going to step in and have any meaningful workload. Him, Jordan Mims could be sprinkled in. They may not want to just go Kendre Miller, let's see what you got. However, I think they should, because I think they need to figure out what they do have in Kendre Miller as the season goes on and he is now in his second year. And they really don't know. So I think they should put it on his back, but we do not know if that is the case or not. I think these running backs for the Saints outside of Kendre Miller are worth taking a chance on just because of that unknown factor. If Jamal Williams gets meaningful workload, we know he's, not great, but he can catch the ball. He can do a lot of things. He can get that yard or two. Maybe there's a goal line carry for him out there. So if you want to take a shot, I would say do it, but with a very small portion of your total, allotment or diversification of players, if you will. If you're doing one lineup, I don't love Jamal Williams, but you can take a chance if you want. Green Bay side, they're likely not to get any work outside of Josh Jacobs or very little work unless it's a total blowout. So let's get over to the wide receiver spot. Now, the thing that I think is most interesting to point out on this game with the wide receiver spot is that the Saints are third in 40 plus yard pass plays allowed. So Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, guys that can hit for big plays make a lot of sense to have either as captains or to make sure you're trying to put them in. So not only are they third in 40-plus yard plays, they are top 10 in 20-plus yard plays allowed. So I like these big play receivers for the Packers. Christian Watson is my favorite of the night. Also, teams have done well in the slot versus the Saints, so Jaden Reed is interesting. Dobbs is definitely my third favorite here, but I do have to say with Romeo Dobbs, my issue is there's no real ceiling for him, but there is a very, very solid floor, and that doesn't necessarily get it done on the single game slates usually. On the Saints side, so we got 4 receivers to pick from. I'm going to start with MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I would expect he has way more ownership than we are currently showing. He is the only one of these guys over the last, 5 weeks that has really shown much. Now, Derek Carr was the quarterback there. Derek Carr has a very good deep ball. That's what MVS does best. That is almost all he can do. Rattler doesn't have the deep ball that MVS does. I expect a lot fewer attempts, and MVS is not the guy I would be playing on this. I would expect his ownership to be much higher than this because of that play, but I would rather go Dante Pettis, Cedric Wilson, Kevin Austin even, and kind of just sprinkle them in and hope I'm able to hit with one of these. Now, these guys don't look great, but most likely game flow is Saints are having to throw. So all of these guys become a little bit interesting. They're all seeing the floor or seeing the field a decent amount and getting some play. Sprinkle them in. There's not one that really stands out above all else. This wide receiver core for the Saints is just an absolute shambles right now. Next, We going to the tight end position. Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau. We got to talk about these two guys. These guys both played a lot last game. I expect them to both play a lot this game. And they are going to be a young quarterback safety blanket. I think Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau are very interesting. The only issue is you don't really get big plays out of the tight end spot. But if they're in the red zone, they'll be used a lot. And there's a solid floor with them. I like both of them. Juwan Johnson is definitely my favorite and probably my favorite play from the Saints outside of Kendre Miller. But, you know, expectations need to be tempered here. This Saints team is going to have a real tough time scoring. We got a 43-point game total, and the Packers are minus 14. The Saints are projected for 14.5 points by Vegas. That is just incredibly low. So we have to have major tempered expectations from any of the Saints players. But I do think passing game is likely the way to go for your Saints lineups. On the Green Bay Packers side, Tucker Kraft has been owning the tight end position and used regularly. Now, Luke Musgrave is back. He is off IR. He was the tight end one coming into this year. Tucker Kraft came in the year kind of banged up and took it over. And now he has just ran away with it. So I think Tucker Kraft is still the tight end one. But Luke Musgrave may be sprinkled in. We really have no idea how much they're going to use Musgrave. But at 1.6K, I am a little interested in throwing out a couple Musgrave lineups if you're playing a lot. Now, he is boom bust because if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's not going to be optimal. But slightly interested in there. Tucker Kraft, I'm fine going there, but he also is going to be touchdown or bust at his price. The reason I say that, because the likelihood of him having, say, 80 plus yards and no touchdown is extremely unlikely. And he's going to need 80 plus yards to be optimal. If he does not have a touchdown, I just don't see that happen. So Tucker Kraft, also, you're betting on touchdown, but you're doing that at 5,800 versus Luke Musgrave at 1,600. With that being said, Kraft is the much, much safer option. But I do like Juwan Johnson out of any of the tight ends the most. I think the floor is highest, and if they're in the red zone, he's going to be used the most. Now, let's get into the defense and kickers. The Packers, far and away, the best defense to play in this spot. They have an implied total of 28.5 versus the Saints 14. What does that mean? It means there's likely going to be a ton of passing on the Saints side, which just raises the chances of interceptions, pick six, sacks, all of that we really get the scoring from in the DFS side. So I think the Packers, they are going to be high owned, and it is extremely volatile, but you should consider them at least for some usage there. Now, I do think they might be a little too high owned at this type of price, but I'm interested in some Packers D. Saints, not so much. Now we get over to the kicker side. Green Bay Packers are going to put up some points. With that, I think you got to consider McManus. On the Saints side, if they can move the ball, I would expect them to really have some hard time in the red zone. With that, Grupp has a little bit of a likelihood or a chance to be optimal, but you're talking about a team that only has a 14-point implied total. There's going to be very few chances for him. For him to be optimal, he's going to need to hit a couple long distance shots. He's going to need some 40, 50 yarders and hopefully one or two of them. And if he can get to 12, 15, then maybe he is an optimal piece of this DFS lineup, and maybe you just go Grupp as your Saints player or Grupp in one of the passing weapons. Now, all in all, you know, kickers go with points. So having a 14.5 total is a very, very bad sign for Grupp. There is the chance that he is going over owned, but he's at least a little interesting because it's going to be hard to get a touchdown for that Saints team, and I do think that they slow when it comes into the red zone area, and Grupp will have his chances. That'll do it for us today, guys. Wish you guys the best of luck. We will be back more with some more DFS goodness and NBA prop show very soon. Have a good one, guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.